Do you enjoy going to Moulin Rouge as much as we do? Better yet, do you like going to concerts and sporting events?
SeatGeek helps people easily purchase tickets to these kind of events and unites people like you and us through live entertainment.
And things just got easier for you. As proud partners of SeatGeek, you can use our exclusive promo code CANCAN10 and you'll get $10 off of any purchase that is $250 or over.
Hey Lily, you've been eyeing up that can seat for a while.
You're so right, Jules. I think I'm gonna go purchase it right now and use our code for a discount. Do you want to join?
Hell yeah!
Again, that's CANCAN10, CANCAN10, to get $10 off of any purchase that is $250 or over, only valid for one purchase. Hello and welcome back to episode 8 of Can Talks. Pew 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 pew. I'm here with Jules, my co-host, and we don't really have any announcements, but we do have a very special guest joining us shortly. Jules, would you like to?
I feel honored because I'm a Team Duke girl. We have all the way from Moulin Rouge, Broadway's first national tour, Andrew Brewer today. Insert clapping, like woo. Very excited. This is gonna be a fun episode. So let's get into it.
So really quickly before we do that, though, little background. Andrew was in Beautiful, the Carole King musical on Broadway, and then he has done the national tour of Beautiful as well. And then in Rouge, he was an ensemble member, Flat Nine. And then he also understudied Christian in the Duke until he became the principal Duke on tour. Off Broadway, he's done Nymph Errant, Cougar the Musical, Sex Tips, ... man, and regional. He's done South Pacific, Cinderella, and Carrie. So got a stacked resume.
He's got a stacked resume. Wow, that's really stacked. I love that. Wow.
We are very excited.
We're very excited. So let's and we said no announcements today because the time this episode comes out, your dearly beloved Jules will be all the way in sunny England. Going to see Moulin Rouge on the West End.
As she should.
Exactly.
As you should.
So this was previously recorded a few weeks ago. So, all right. Let's do it, girl.
All righty. We are with Andrew Brewer, the national tour Dukie Kabookie.
Dukie Kabookie, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Hashtag Team Duke all the way.
That's where we are.
So this is gonna be fun. I'm really excited for this. So we got a few questions. We're kind of just gonna ping pong off of each other.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start. Do you remember? Kind of, it's been a few years you've been on the tour for what, isn't it? Like nearly 2 years now.
Yes.
Do you remember what your audition story was for getting just into the tour?
Yes. The audition originally came around in 2018 or 2019. I think I got an audition for the Swing for Broadway when they were moving. Swing or Flat Nine, I can't remember which one. But I turned it down, like hard turned it down. It must have been the tour starting because there was the recording and I listened to Aaron doing Christian and I knew I was going to have to cover it. And I listened to it one time and I listened to Roxanne and I was like, nope, that's not going to happen. And that's fantastic. I really wish you all the best. Thank you, but no thank you. I had moved to LA and I was kind of moving away from theater at the time. And so I didn't really get into it when I had moved back to New York right before pandemic. I think it was February of 2020. Went through sort of the same thing that all actors go through where we had, is this a reasonable job to have when there is no theater? What do we do? What should we do? I had been in it about the time, I think I was 30, I must have been 33, 34 at the time. And so I'd been doing it for a while. I'd been working and it was like, okay, am I done with theater? Am I figuring it out? And I decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a year and we're just going to go whole hog, whatever audition comes in, we say yes. We don't turn anything down no matter what. I got a video audition for, for the swing covering Duke and Christian. And so I was like, okay, well, great. Well, I will record the Duke stuff because they only asked for pick one song, one scene. Did the Duke stuff, sent that in, and that was in March of 2021. And then I didn't hear anything at all. And then in September, I got another email from my agent saying, hey, they want you to record a Christian song. I think it was the first half of Roxanne, I think is what it was. The first half of Roxanne and a Christian scene. And if they like it, they will see you on Sunday for an in-person audition. I had one of my best friends from college wedding that weekend in Florida. And it was on Saturday night. I was in the wedding. And so I got down there. I still hadn't heard anything. Thought, okay, well, no callback. Won't worry about it. And started hanging out with my friends, partying, it was like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And at the night before, while I was at the restaurant hanging out with everyone, I get it. They're like, hey, they want to see you Sunday. And I was like, well, fantastic. So I was like, kind of went to my friend. I was like, hey man, like I got to sing this stuff on Sunday. I don't really know. And we did that for Sunday night or for Friday night. And then the next morning sort of just said, one thing we learned from pandemic was like, what is important is your friends and your families and these moments and these experiences that you have. So like, let's just let it be what it is. So had a great day. I flew back at, I think 4 a.m. back to New York. I got on a flight. I landed in Newark. I lived in Queens. And so I had to take a train from Newark with my stuff all the way to Queens. I got there. I had to work. I worked as an overnight doorman at a building. And so I had to wear my suit into the audition. And they had said, hey, maybe the music director will be there, something like that. We had to get there. We were still COVID testing at the audition. So I had to sit for 45 minutes in a room by myself, but to make sure I didn't have COVID. Didn't have COVID. So they're like, all right, we'll bring you in. And I came in and the entire team was there. I mean, it was everybody. It was Alex Timbers. It was Justin. It was producers. It was choreographer. It was literally 15 or 16 people
just a little
in the room. Just a small, and it was my first in-person audition since the pandemic. So I hadn't been in front of a room of people in almost 2 years at that point either. Came in, he said, what do you want to start with? And I said, Duke. I'm saving Christian for as late as possible. Let's see, they love me for Duke and I won't worry about it and we can hide it. We did that. My audition was at 1 and they had come and told me, they're like, hey, they're supposed to have their lunch break. I had to work at 3 though, down in the village. And so they're like, they're going to hold on lunch to see you, which is just a terrible thing to tell me because I know they're hungry. They want to go eat. And now they have to sit here and watch this guy who has things to do. So he can't come back later. And so we sang through everything. We did a couple scenes. And as soon as it ended, I booked it for the door and I hear them as it happens. Hey guys, we're going to break for lunch. Don't worry about it. So I run to the elevator. I'm like, please, 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 please. The elevator shows up, as does the entire team waiting for it. So I have to get on the elevator with everyone that I was just in the audition with. Kind of turned and looked and like, it's a fun show, huh? Kind of like, I don't know what to say. Did it go well? What do we think? Sort of talked a little bit about the song and ran away. I didn't hear anything for about a week and then found out that I got it. I was at another friend's wedding actually. On the way found out that they had booked the tour and here I am 2 years later.
That is
God,
so
that's
cool.
a crazy. That's
Also
crazy.
very intimidating being in an
Yeah,
elevator with everyone.
Oh man,
everybody.
a lot of people that and you know they're all an incredible team. It's an incredible amount of people who have built this thing that I know of and have never met, and so you're just kind of sort of standing there.
It's crazy to me,
Hey,
like how
hey
it
guys.
fell into your lap back in, 18
Hmm.
and you or 19 and you were like, I heard Aaron and I was like, I don't think I can do this. And then
No,
it comes
That'd be
back
me.
to you and you're like,
it comes
and
back around.
did you see the show before you auditioned? Like, did
No.
you hadn't seen the show? Did they tell
I
you
hadn't
that?
seen it
Yeah.
at all. I knew the movie. I mean, the movie came out when I was in like middle school, high school, something like that. And so I knew of the movie. I'd seen the movie, but I never saw the musical because I'd been living in LA beforehand, and then post pandemic, I hadn't really gone back yet.
Did they like once you booked it, were they like, hey, maybe go see it. Maybe go see it. Like, or did you still not see it?
Well, I actually, so when I found out that I booked it, I was about to start rehearsal for another show. I was doing another production in Long Island at the same time, and so I couldn't go see it then. And then I went direct. I finished that on a Sunday. I left the next day for Alabama to do another show, and I finished that. I was supposed to finish that on a Sunday and start immediately the next day for Moulin Rouge. And then I got COVID, so I got stuck at the end of the run, and I got stuck in Alabama for extra time. But it worked out because there had been a few people in the team, so they actually pushed our rehearsal process off a few weeks. So we had a little bit of a break. But when we got into rehearsal, that was the first time that they said, "Hey, if anyone wants to see the show, if you haven't seen it already, we'll give you tickets." And so I got to go see it then because I just had no idea. I'd seen it on paper. We had started rehearsing it. I sat down the very first day next to Sherrod, who was our Pierre. And the first thing I remember saying to him was like, "I'm going to get fired." And he was like, "Why?" And I was like, when we sang the Christian stuff, we sang the beginning of Roxanne. We didn't sing the end. We did a little bit of your song, but we didn't really do it all that much. I didn't dance at all. I was flat nine. They didn't ask. Nobody even was like, "Hey, you can dance, right?" Or like, "You can keep time." Something. Not a single question. And so I sat there. I was like, "I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like, I don't think they know enough about me. And when they figure it out, they're gonna have to let me go. But we'll see." And so, but it worked out. It worked out.
That's a whirlwind. I love that. That's one of the best audition stories I think I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was fun. I mean, like it was really cool to. I don't think I've ever done it that way, to start working on a show without having seen it before, or at least knowing of a production or whatever. So to start it completely blind, with a whole new team and then go see it done was so interesting to me because we were all in a different process, building a completely different thing. Because as you all, I mean, know that the tour is proscenium, and the Broadway has the thrust and has the walkway and everything. So it is such a different take on it. And for us to sort of get to watch that and then see what our team was doing in the room and what we were doing, it was a really, really cool experience.
Yeah. So, Jules, I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump around right at the beginning here.
Go
But
for it.
I just want to ask, like, because you were flat nine and then you had to understudy both Christian and the Duke.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite part about playing both roles?
Um, the Duke was, I think, the one that was the most interesting to me. I haven't really, I did a little bit with Beautiful, but not much. I haven't really played the bad guy before. I've always kind of been a little more of the like doe-eyed young kid that was just sort of there. Um, and so to kind of come at this completely different character where and they made sure during the rehearsal process that they said it a lot. They said the Duke is not a villain. Like, he's a man with he has very villainous ideas. He has wrong takes on things. He has a different definition of how he loves and what he feels, but he's not just a villain. So we can't come at it from the angle of the arch nemesis with the eyebrow and the twirling mustache thing. So it was fun to be able to play that kind of a character, but then also try to find moments where you could get the audience on your side a little bit, or actually, make her make a choice, make her have to actually struggle to decide between just saying like, well, Christian's the good one, so of course we go with Christian, to make it an interesting balance. That was really fun. I went on very, very early. David got COVID. We had a massive COVID swing at the beginning of tour where the third preview, Yvette and I went on because we lost Courtney and David to COVID. So we were still learning. I was still learning my track. I didn't know my track yet, and was still sort of figuring things out. And all of a sudden, I was sort of thrown into the Duke, and getting to experience the show just completely new, and to go out and be the bad guy, and to go out and be the one that people are fighting against. Man, it's really, really fun. It's to try to get people to dislike you is a blast, as someone who is very, very much not that way. I don't know. I got such a kick out of it to be the meanie, to be the to be the bad guy. Christian, we talk about it sometimes. Like, Christian is male alpha. Like, it is, you're carrying a lot. I mean, it's a heavy sing, it's a heavy acting role. You are out there the whole time. You're running around trying to get drinks of water. You have to scream, you have to cry, you have to laugh, you have to do everything. And the weight of that, I mean, hangs over all of the Christians. I mean, they all feel it every time they're on, and you feel such a responsibility. It's easily the biggest role I've ever done. And so and you guys have heard now my giant fear of it. And so kind of just being able to get to a place by the end, before I moved up to the Duke, where I had a run for about 3 weeks where I did 19 in a row because of COVID things with Jack and Connor. And I kind of got to the last week, and I was like, you know what? Like, I could do this. Like, I could do this track. I think I could do this full time, and not, and that feeling, I think, brought me a lot of confidence and belief in myself that I don't think I've ever had as an actor before, or had in my career yet. So I think that was something that I really really found about myself, that helped me, Andrew, as the actor, that helped me as the role, that really changed a lot of my perspective on what we do and what I do.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, that's such a I never really thought of it that way. Like, Christian it is a tough role. Like you said, you're on stage basically all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 2 songs you're basically not on stage for.
Yeah.
So
And it's the Duke songs.
yeah, it's the Duke song.
Exactly.
The Duke's like, don't steal my thunder.
Let me have my time.
Yes. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I never really thought of it that way. So that's a really good analogy of it. It's so interesting to hear people's like different experiences. So, what is the most challenging part of understudying for you? What was the most hardest part from doing Christian, Duke, and F9?
I think the hardest part is sort of finding where you fit. I think and some understudies might have different views of this than I do, but I sort of feel like, as an understudy, your job is to go out and do the role and do the thing, but also you're trying to keep the boat afloat. You're not, it's not really you out there doing your own show. While we are allowed to, sort of make it our own and take our own things, the rest of this team, the rest of the people on stage every night, have sort of found a rhythm with kind of how they work, and have found certain things that do, they work better a certain way. And so sometimes you try to go out there and be like, well, there are certain things, there are points where I'm going to get to play around and I'm going to really get to make it me. But there are certain moments that I kind of need to keep this the same because everyone will work together. Things like the rehearsal scenes where there's a lot of really speedy back and forth dialogue. If somebody comes in and just starts changing everything about how that works, everybody sort of is playing the game of like, okay, well, how does this fit? Where does this work in? So for me, it was trying to find what was my Christian, what did my fellow actors need from me as Christian, like what could we give and what could we build together, but also at the same time, how could I help everybody else in this moment to continue to tell the story that they are used to telling and that they need to tell as well. I think that's kind of the hardest thing. When you are then on stage every night doing your own show entirely, like, like you're out there, you're thinking of your things. So then all of a sudden it's always the moment you stop worrying about a role, or I haven't done it in 3 months. It's not going to be a thing. And then all of a sudden the stars align and it's your turn. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, fine. What do I do? Where am I going? What are my numbers? How do I not get hit by that fly? How do I not get run over by the platforms? Okay, here we go. Let's do it. But yeah, I think it's really more storytelling stuff. They do a really great job of teaching us the blocking, and you have rehearsals and things like that to know everything. But I think it is about really making sure that the story is first.
Yeah, I love that. One of my favorite things about just like tour Broadway, like different casts and stuff, and understudies going in is that it's the different portrayals that keeps me coming
Mm-hmm.
back. It obviously keeps everybody else on stage on their toes, but it keeps me, who's seen the show multiple times, on their toes as well. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like what kind of Duke is this person going to be? What kind of Christian is this person going to be? And it's so fun to point out all like the differences in the
Mm-hmm.
way that the characters are portrayed so differently, but it just works so well just all together.
Yeah, I think that we talk a lot about with understudies, trying to be different is something you don't really need to do because we are not the same person. So, like I naturally, if I go out there and say those lines, they're not going to come out the same as somebody else. They're going to come out however I feel. And so the world that we build, as long as we're building it somewhat in a similar way, it will be different. You will notice the differences. You will notice where things fit and how somebody says something, or, maybe they play the Duke a little meaner. Maybe they play him a little nicer. Maybe he's a little more, I haven't seen it because he never did it. Jack Cahill, was a swing out here. He's now on Broadway. Um, he never did the Duke out here on the road. And I remember in rehearsals them playing around with it and how he did it. And they sort of worked and did a thing where they were like, what if we just take this completely off the wall and go a completely different way? Because at the time, I mean, this was a couple of years ago, he was, he's younger, he looked younger, he was playing younger. And so they're like, what if the Duke is just this entitled little kid who's playing at things, who wants her because he wants things. He wants her because this is what I'm supposed to have. I'm supposed to have the nice things, and like, you should be with me. Like I bought a chateau. I did all these things. You should love me now. This is how this works, which is a completely different take on this. Like, I did it for you. So clearly, it's all those kind of things where they let us play. They do let us really make it our own. And that freedom is something you don't get a lot, especially with long running shows. Sometimes as the show gets longer and longer, they're like, hey, this is how it needs to be. So just do it this way. We love what you're trying, but keep it the same. But they don't do that here, which is really, really great and really lovely.
That's so fun. So, what's your favorite place that you've been on with the tour?
Ooh, how do I make other cities mad? Um, I, every city's great. We have a great time everywhere. Um, I really loved Providence. We had a really great time in Providence. It's a really cool downtown area that I kind of just didn't realize. Cincinnati was incredibly surprising to us. I do like I had played there with Beautiful back in, I think it was like 2015, 2016, something like that. And so it'd been almost a decade, and the downtown area has changed like drastically. The restaurants, the bars and stuff, like the nightlife, it's really, really crazy.
I can
We
tell
all
you
kind of were
what's
talking.
changed. It's the Bengals.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
The Bengals got good. You got Joe Burrow, and all of a sudden everything turned around. And so, but it did, but it does. It changes literally. I mean, different cities. Some of the cities that I remember, being a lot more fun have changed a lot since COVID. A lot of places were so different. But I'm a Midwest kid. I'm from Indiana. And so Chicago is always near and dear to my heart. I always have such a great time. We love that. We had some wild audiences in San Francisco, and so that was an experience. That was like something really cool. There's a lot of really fun places, and really, I think one of the great things about being on tour for us is getting to see so much of the country, and how, while it is also different, there is so much similarity. And I do feel like this is something that plays into kind of where we are as a country and where we are as people in like such a divided state, because we just believe that, like, you're not like us, no one's like us, no one does this, or you guys are the other side, we're the other side. And actually there's a lot of similarity across the board. I mean, there's a lot of people that just want great things for where they live, and believe in their hometown, and believe in the other. And everything has its positives and everything has its negatives. So it's like, it's just it's really something that I don't take for granted. I never traveled as a kid, so getting to be able to go to all of these cities to do what I love to do and get paid to do it at the same time, I mean, I'm living the dream. Really, really, I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because like whenever I go to the Broadway show in New York, the Lima, Ohio line gets like a chuckle or two, probably
Mhm.
for me. I go to Cincinnati, the Lima, Ohio line is like off the charts, cheering,
Cincinnati,
screaming. Yeah.
Cleveland, Columbus, it crushes. It crushes in Ohio. We actually had the mayor of Lima, Ohio, came to the show in Cincinnati.
No way.
Yeah, she took a picture with the cast. She was great. Yeah, it was very fun.
That's so funny. I love that. I love that line. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So, okay. I have two questions, so I'm trying to think. Okay, I'm gonna do the one that I haven't written down first because I'll forget it. It kind
Okay.
of pertains back to what we talked about a few minutes ago. Did you feel, again, this is just asking in your opinion, when you
Sure.
came into this show, did you feel a little bit of pressure or intimidation because you're following behind a, this is 10 Tonys at one, including Best Actor, Best Supporting.
Mhm.
You're coming behind something what made a big mark on Broadway. You're coming into the role of Christian, what was, Aaron
Mhm.
Tveit's role, and the Duke, what, I mean, has, again, such a big role. Did you feel a bit of like intimidation and like a little bit of like nerves taking on this? Like, and it's also an iconic movie. Did you feel
Yeah.
like that little bit of stress about it?
Oh, for sure. It's impossible to escape uh that weight, especially when we were starting. You're sitting in a room with we had our entire crew there the first day. We had everybody who was touring. So there was 70 plus people sitting in a room introducing each other. You have producers, we're talking, like you said, we're talking about a movie. We're talking about Baz Luhrmann. We're talking about Alex Timbers. We're talking about Aaron Tveit, um, is somebody for me. I didn't get into musical theater until college. Um, and so around that time, like Catch Me If You Can and Next to Normal and those kind of things were coming out. And so it was like, this is the voice, and this is a person that I have like wanted to be so badly. And then at the same time was like, you're never going to be that. So, which I'm not. I am myself. And I understand who he is, and those kind of things. But to go into that room and to sit down and say like, hey guys, we're going to make this, and we're going to take this to a bunch of people who have not seen the Broadway show. We're going to do it for bigger audiences than the Broadway show does it for. We're going to do a different version of it as far as the staging goes. There are different pitfalls and things like that with telling the story that you don't have to deal with them, and like things like that. So we were all very aware of what we were doing and what we were trying to do. And I know for me too, I remember the first time that we sat down, I think it was the end of the first week, that they did the choreo and Connor did Roxanne and they ran it for the first time. At that point in time, I hadn't seen the show yet, so I didn't know what it was supposed to look like either. And so we were sitting in the boxes on the side of the rehearsal room because it was the only place where there was space. And I'm watching my castmates, these people who are just phenomenal artists, and watching Connor be amazing, and like watching this thing and being like, oh man, I'm going to have to do that. Like at some point in time, I have to be there in the middle, screaming in the middle of all of this. And yeah, it doesn't really leave your mind. That awareness is always there. And I think it's something that you try to tamp down a little bit to kind of remind yourself that like, hey, it's just a show. Like, let's downplay it a little bit so that you can actually live in the moment. But yeah, very aware.
Yeah, Roxanne's such a powerful number as well, and it's
Absolutely.
you can ask so many people and they'll tell you that it's one of their favorites or such a big pinnacle moment. So I totally, yeah, it's like like you said, watched it and you're like, I have to do that. Oh no.
Yeah.
So I bet that's a little bit, yeah, that's a really great answer. I really, really love that. Thank you. Lily, please go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going off book. I just want let's talk about the Duke for a little bit.
Let's do it.
Team
Let's
Duke.
get into it.
Let's do it.
Team Duke.
The best.
So just talk about like, because I know you said something about like how they kind of told you that the Duke really isn't the arch nemesis villain. So yeah. So I guess I was wondering, do you have any like I guess like comebacks for the Duke, like for Team Duke, any
I mean
points?
I think, and I think you guys have made a comment about this before, my little my little comment on Facebook about or Instagram, I don't remember what it was. But it is something that I remember watching it and being like, yeah, I know he's a bad guy, but at the same time, he's the guy the club is closing. So he's keeping everyone employed. He didn't say don't do the show. He said it's depressing. I want her to have a new costume and more dance numbers. I'm giving you more things to do. I'm giving, he's a benefactor of the arts. I mean, really, even though he doesn't believe in the message, even though he doesn't believe in the dogma, he still is like, you do what you want, but I would like to see these things. He's come to Satine and he has offered her, as much as, yeah, I like to think at the time, I mean, it's 1899. This is France. It's not women's rights. There's not all these things. He can't marry her because of who she is and his status. So he's offering her the best thing he can possibly offer her in, listen, I will make you my mistress. I will give you a house. You can do whatever you want in that house. And, this is a life of leisure. And even Zidler says to her, like, we're not getting any younger. You need someone to take care of you. You're not going to keep performing forever. I'm giving her a retirement fund. And then he finds out that the whole time she has been sleeping with this guy and everyone knows about it and no one has said a word. These are all the people that he's employing, he's helping out, giving jobs to. Nobody's going to drop a line. And, as much as Pierre's the tattletale, Pierre's kind of the guy that's really giving him the lowdown truth finally. Now, he takes it way too far once he has the truth. Sure, I agree. But at the same time, he didn't have to get there.
Yeah, that is one thing. Also that meme that you saw, that was the one that I made.
Yeah.
We talked about this before on here, and I was like, when
It's
I made
our
that
favorite
meme,
comment.
I literally saw your comment on there. I was like, he understood the assignment. Well, I mean, it's true. I really love this from seeing it on Broadway. In that scene when he's like, oh, she doesn't love you, and everyone's like, Oops. Whoopsies. I love
Ah,
interesting. And everyone
mhm.
just goes mute and it's just like
Yeah.
recently I've noticed this a little bit. David, who was on tour, obviously moved to Broadway.
Hmm.
He
Yeah, yeah.
does like he recently started doing a thing where he's just like he like clears his throat, he looks at Zidler and he says something
Hmm.
like he's gonna say like you guys knew about this, but he said something in the realm of that and he's like and then he goes on to say his line, but it's
Yeah.
like it's crazy. You watch it because his character and he's portraying like, well, wait a second, you all knew, and now I'm finding, and it's probably embarrassing for him too because you just found out that your this girl, you know, your mistress kind of thing, is sleeping with the composer, and you're just like, oh,
Right.
it's
Well, I
awkward.
think it's so many things in the same moment. You know, we just talked about it. We had Alex come out and we had some note sessions and stuff, and that was a moment that we talked about. Because while at first he's yelling about a line of something at him, because she doesn't love you, and there's a lot of steps in your brain that it takes to get from here to there. And it is, well, someone yelling at him. First off, why would you ever do that? I'm the richest person in the room and I'm the one. You're yelling at a producer. This is what you're going to do. And then it is, what did you yell at? Oh wait, no, him. Okay, so wait, why did you change that? Did you meant something by that? What did you mean by that? Oh wait, because he knows she doesn't love him. you know this is what we just came out of Only Girl. We just came out of this moment where he's saying, I want you to love me, I want to have your heart, I want to give you everything, and I want to be that one person for you. And she doesn't say yes. She puts on the clothes. She just asks if she fits. He does his thing. She didn't say I love you. She's never said it to him, and it's what he wants more than anything. And then now this guy who means nothing is saying it, like, you feel free to say this to me. And then, yes, that look around moment of, oh, everyone's awkward. Wait, no, they're all staring at me. Why are they all staring at me? Wait, is that a thing? Is that I like to I take a couple people in that moment where I'll take in our Shock. I take in who sort of gives me a little bit of something, and I kind of look around and I go back to Zidler, and Zidler's just sort of I'm like, wait, no, so this is what's happening on. And then I like to take in Satine to see her and to see, oh no, you've told people. No, everyone knows this. And I think that is the driving force of that speech. For me, other people going to have their own interpretation of that. For me, the driving point of that speech is the embarrassment. It is his loss of status in that moment. That everyone knows that he is, she's just doing this for money and she doesn't love him. And everyone knew about that because I think that arrangement is strictly between him and Zidler. He brought him there because of this girl, but he's not going to tell everybody he did that. They are all supposed to think they're a couple. And so now that image is shattered. And in front of all these people, he's embarrassed. He starts yelling about the show and trying to get his status back. Well, I'll take the money away. Well, I'll do this. And I think that, that's what takes that next scene a step further, is when Pierre comes in and tells him that she's been at his house, like she's been over there. And I think that's the final straw of, okay, great. So not only did this dude know, you've been sleeping with that guy. And I think that's what gives us a little bit of that build up to that moment where he finally snaps on her. But yeah, it's a really intense moment. It's a lot of things to process in a very short amount of time, because you also don't want to take too long. You don't want to take too much of the air out of the room, but it's a very heavy moment.
It's very intense. The rehearsal scene too, and then the scene right after Roxanne, where you're in the Duke's apartment. That scene always gets. I've seen the show 15 times, and every single time I see it, and that scene always, I'm just like, it's like a nail biter to me. I know what's happening. I know what's going to be said, but I'm still just there, like, oh my God. Like, it's like, oh, because it's that. You really you feel the emotions, and that's why I know we just spoke about it before we come on here. Maybe the Duke isn't always a villain. Maybe he's a little bit of the victim too, and he gets angry, and as you just explained, which was a really great analogy. Again, I really like that.
I think a lot of it happens like, just me, especially like rooting for Team Duke is like right in the beginning of like his entrance, and then
Mhm.
the Rolling Stones medley or mashup, and I
Mhm.
was like, the Duke in the movie is a little doesn't have game like at all.
Right.
The musical Duke has a little bit of game. He has a little bit of charm to him,
Mhm.
and I really like that because it's like it does give Satine kind of that choice of like, oh, I don't know, he's not
Right.
only
Could I
wealthy
fall for
but
that guy? Well, it's that kind of expectation thing that she has in that same that conversation with Zidler where he does talk about finding something that's been their dream. That's been the goal the whole time. She's been on the street since she was a child. She's been out there, literally being pimped out by her father. She's been, her best and brightest hope was never to find love. It was to find someone to take care of her because she's never had that. And so for her, all of a sudden, Christian shows up, and this man literally wows her and talks to her about love and is so innocent in it, and that it's so pure that he doesn't want anything from her. He doesn't need anything from her. He just wants to love her, and that's all he wants in the world. That's such a new thing for her. And at the same time, somebody has showed up with what she thought she wanted forever. And so I think that's that decision that she has to make between like your expectation of what you were going to want and this thing that came out of nowhere that is so much better and grander than anything you could have imagined. So like, how do you choose?
Yeah, because I mean, we've mentioned this, me and Lily, before, but in the movie, there's a line she says to Zidler, and she's basically like, I talking about her worth is only being what she thought people could pay for her, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think going back to what you just said, that Christian, when Christian comes in, she's like, wait, he just wants me for me, like he just wants to love
Mm-hmm.
me. He doesn't want me this expectation to do this, to do that, to be this, and I think, yeah, I completely agree with that. But yeah, I like that. My next question, this is a fun one for me.
All right.
What do you think happens to the Duke after Satine dies? Because as we know,
Oh man.
he just
as,
walks off.
as
We'll
we
just
know,
see
he
about
just
that. And
we'll just see
they
about
don't
that.
ever see about it.
And we're like, and everyone's like,
And then he just comes back for encore, and you're like,
and yeah, we're
oh.
like, and then he's all
And just
happy at
shows
encore.
up. Yeah, and just shows up, and he's there in that Come What May reprise too. He's in
Yeah.
the back, hiding back there. Um,
But I would love to know, and this is my thing to ask so many people, but like, what do you personally think, as someone who's plays the role, happens to
sure.
the Duke? What do you think he does? I've made a lot of memes about this. um, but like, what do you think? Yeah, like he does, or do you think he moves on? Does he do this? Does a club shut down? I'd love to
Oh,
think what
yeah.
would love
I
to know
think
what you
there's
think.
definitely some of that. Um, I think for him, I think there is because I want to take that side of he's not a full villain and he's not that guy. I think there is a part of him that is destroyed by that, and that she does stand up to him. She doesn't want to be a part of his life. She doesn't. You don't own me. You want nothing to do with me. And this one person that he's really offered everything to, as much as he can give, which is not as much as Christian can give because he can't give his heart. He wants hers, but he can't give his. He gives what he can. And so I think there is a level of it he's so destroyed by that in my mind he does go into, because he is known for retribution, he does go into a state of close the club. Money is pulled. You guys can figure this out on your own. Perhaps even, Lautrec's in trouble, perhaps even Christian's in trouble. I think there is a little bit of that, but I could see a world in which he just removes himself from everything related to this chapter. That it is so painful and so embarrassing and such a thing for someone of his status to have even been toying with this place whatsoever. He's the kid who was out playing with something and got hurt when he wasn't supposed to be playing with it to begin with. So you just pretend it never happened. You just go away and you just go and try to live your life beyond, but wounded pride never goes away. Like it's always there. It's always something that he lives in memory of. And I think there's always a soft spot for Satine. I don't believe he finds someone else. I don't believe he moves on. What I've always wondered and what we joke about, I have a thing with the hair lady here that we talk about his wife. Generally, an unmarried Duke would be a very interesting thing. He makes her just a mistress. Does that mean like he doesn't want to marry her or he can't marry her or because he's already married? What is going on with this?
We have the same thoughts too. We're like, mistress. Like I remember thinking that with a few other friends, like mistress, like is he already married? Does he have a duchess? Or what is going on?
Right. You would assume that probably there is some sort of arranged thing that has already happened. And he's out living his life, which for me would make him more of the bad guy that I need him to be so that he can be loving and whatever. But the whole time, all of it is wrong. Everything he's doing from the get-go is just wrong because he's already married. I would see him going back to maybe that wife. We call her Brune. This is strictly and completely just me and our hair supervisor, Teresa. I have a picture of her. She lives on my station.
Oh my goodness. I love
she also gave me one of these, our awesome fans. Ryder made me a Duke, a Duke Funko. And Teresa got me this little bottle, and I don't know if you'll be able to read it, but it says "not acid."
Well,
and I just keep it with him all the time. But we say that Brune is the one who actually set up the acid play and like ruined the girl and killed the guy. And that it wasn't him, but that the whole time she found out about it, and that was really what went down. There's so many theories that it could possibly be, all of which are apocryphal and have nothing to do with the story, but it's just fun. But yeah, I think in my mind, I think he shuts off that side of himself, goes back to his wife, and lives out his days with the memory of what could have been and how he screwed it up.
That's an interesting take. I like that. I love asking people what they think, because like you said, it's not in the script or anything, but it's your mind wanders like, oh, like what would have happened? What would have been? What if? Yeah, I like that. Lily, do you what other questions do you have before we move on to fan questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what's your favorite stage mishap?
I love this.
Oh boy. Stage mishaps. We've had our fair share. What was the the technical ones have all been sort of we generally have to stop if it's something bad. But I have one that happens to me probably far more often than it should, and I'm prepared for it now, and that's how often it happens. There's a very specific dollar that is set aside by our prop team for me to give to the flat in the opening, but what I can't get, I can't use. And she takes it in her mouth, to keep it clean, make sure there's one. But sometimes I'm, a little lost in my getting ready for the show and talking to people and doing my thing, and I'll forget to grab it. And so I'll get up there and I'll get in that moment and I'll go reaching into my very empty pocket to grab something. It has happened. It happened just once that I didn't have it, and I learned my lesson. But I still, from very rarely, but we'll have a moment where I go in and there'll be nothing, and then I have now a whole other stack on the other side just in case. So I get there and I'm like, no, it's over here. Okay, there's my extra dollar. We've had those sort of moments. We've had a couple of the chair in Pitch Song. I'm kind of the king of breaking it. I have broke it three times, four times, three or four times. The very first rehearsal we had with me as the Duke in pitch song, we had a random moment during the rehearsal process for the whole tour where they gave the understudies a chance to run something. We ran pitch song, and when Santiago shoves me into the chair, or when they pick it up and carry me across, I sit down a little too aggressively in a specific direction, and the leg will break. And so then it becomes about not falling out of the chair, and I'm just trying to hold my weight on a three-legged chair without it falling out from underneath me or completely breaking. A really great moment when it happened one time was it did break, and one of our understudies was on a Santiago, and he grabbed the leg during Love, and he said, "And death and money," and pretended to kill himself with the leg. Brilliant moment. Brilliant moment. But yeah, that's one that happens. I know our props team doesn't love that I do that, but it's I do my best not to now. I try to be very, very conscious of it, but it does happen from time to time.
So keep you away from chairs. Okay, cool. So
keep me away from chairs. Sitting, walking, standing, all very tough things for me. I honestly, just the essentials.
Another question I have is, what is your favorite song and scene? So what's your for you to do each night you're there? What's your the song or scene you're like, yeah, I love this one so much,
Yeah, let's see. From night to night, there is I really do love the Duke song is just such a fun little moment. If it's song and scene, honestly, I really love Only Girl, because it is really that one moment to kind of try to win things back. I think there's a little fun in there. I think there's everything that's wrong with him in there as well. I think it's him doing his best to be nice, and while at the same time literally being like, you can't have friends. You can do whatever you want except for hang out with everybody that you've ever known. But other than that, this will be great. You can have it. You can have it all.
It's great for me. Don't know if it's great.
It's great for me. Yeah, you'll be a wonderful little bird in a cage. It'll be fantastic for you. You'll love it. Yeah, I think that would probably be my 1-2 there.
Oh, that is a good one. Everyone loves Only Girl. It's such a great one.
It's so good.
And then one more. I'm sorry, Lily. I'm gonna cut you off.
You're all good.
So what makes Moulin Rouge different to any other show that you've ever done?
I mean, honestly, scale is going to be one. Easily just the biggest production I've ever been a part of, in every way and from every department. It is, when we talked about that sort of the weight of what we're doing, part of it you feel just walking onto that stage and walking backstage and putting on the costumes, and the quality of everything else is there. So you got to meet it. You have to be there. You have to provide that quality as well, because it all means nothing if you go out there in the perfect lighting and with the perfect outfit and doing the perfect song and are bad. You can be the one thing that can bring this all down.
Yeah, I like that one. That's good. Lily, do you have any more questions before we?
I don't, but I can do a little transition to fan questions, because
let's do it.
There's one person who just said you're her favorite Duke, which we love. But
we
just
love
transitioning
that.
into that one. My mom, I got approval to tell this story on the podcast.
Okay.
My mom is somebody who does not. She likes seeing the shows, but she's not a fan of stage touring. It might just be the crowds or whatever, which completely fine. I love stage touring. I love stage touring. My dad loves it too. So we have a little system, my dad and I. But my mom decided to let me stage tour Moulin Rouge in Cincinnati. And I was kind of down a long line of fans. And I hear when you come out, I heard someone's go, "It's the Duke," really loudly. And I thought it was a fan, just down the line. I was like, oh, they're excited. We love Team Duke. Yay. I find out later, because my mom just goes, "Oh, did you hear me yell for the Duke?" And I was like, wait, that was you? So you got my mom excited at the stage tour. And
hey, we love that.
It's an accomplishment because my mom
Thank you so much.
particularly does not do stage doors. So, but you were like the only person that she was very excited.
Hey, well, that is an honor. I mean, honestly, seriously, I will say that I have never experienced stage doors like this. I, like the fans of this show, both old and new, people coming from the, like, I've seen Broadway, I've seen all the productions, I've seen you guys a bunch of times, down to the people who are, I've had so many experiences that I personally really love, because it's one of those things where it's like a guy will come up to me and be like, man, I don't see theater, and like my girlfriend, my wife, my whoever, my partner dragged me here, and this was awesome, and I really liked this, and like, you're my favorite, man. Like, like stuff like that. But just like up and down the line, every level of, the people who know, like people like you guys who know every line, you know everything about it, which is so fun to talk. But it's so fun to talk to you about this stuff too, because you have your own theories and you have your own ideas, and to see that how much this show means to people, and also how far reaching it is. Like, it all comes back to that, like that weight of, like, we feel responsible for this show and telling this story because of people like you, because of fans, and because of the people who love this and love to see it. Like, we want to do just as well, every night and every show, because of you all, because we want you to see, the best version of this that we can possibly do. And to come out to the stage doors is a blast. Especially as the Duke, to get those one or two people who aren't Team Christian and are Team Gook. I love that.
For real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. I got another question. Okay, if you could play any other character in the show, who would it be and why?
If I could play a completely opposite character, and I won't pick Christian because I've played Christian before, I would say I really want to do Zidler. It's so I'm always, and I think it's because I'm also playing the bad guy, every time before I go on stage in the wings, I'm dancing, or I'm reciting lines, or I'm singing, or I'm doing something completely different than what I'm about to do. And the opening at the very beginning, I give everyone here is probably very annoyed by me because I sing and do the lines for the entire opening in the halls from my dressing room to the stage. I'm sitting in the wing before I come out, reciting Zidler's speech. For the gallery, it's peanuts and lager. I do the whole thing. I give my own little accent to it, or do whatever. I've decided that Zidler is Scottish, and I think it'd be really fun. It's a really fun accent. It's really fun to say, like superettes and sodomites. Like there's really great lines that I think would be so fun. But that's the stuff that I do, like, right off stage. So I think it'd be a blast to just go and just off the wall, some random thing, and just do a whole different version of this.
That's such a fun role. Oh my, I just love
Rosie,
this
you're
Scottish
dying.
Zidler.
Right?
That's awesome. I love that. I do. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh my goodness. Let's see, I'm looking for questions.
Yeah, I have one. So, what quirky exercises or methods do you apply to get into the character?
Well, like you said, I usually I'm not a big, like a methody kind of guy, or anything like that. I'm very much, I think my take on the Duke, I'm always trying really hard to make sure that I don't tip too far. It's not that it's easy, but it is instinctual to take him really dark. And so I try to fight against that as much as possible. So in those moments, like I said, I'll be reciting Zidler's speech, or the entire time of the Duke's, right before Duke's song, the knocks. I try to catch it. I try to see where it's going to happen, and I do it on a wall in the back. And then each time the bong goes, dum, 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 da, 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 and I'll do it on a different brick, because it's the brick wall for the thing, and I'll start playing around with stuff, just little stuff like that. Before Only Girl, I'll be the Ain't Nobody Fresh as Me. They do the posh version. I do my own little dance in the back of it and whatever, and then right before I go out, I'll do a little, all right, into character, let's go. But yeah, I try just very much to have fun with it. This show is just such a good time for people. And I just want to make sure that I'm not that I'm not taking it seriously, but that I'm not giving into the actory side of it and just getting really like, I'm drama and I'm giving you the thing, like, no, we're doing a musical. We're doing a very fun show and a very fun musical. So I want to keep it bouncing, keep the ball up, and keep it fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. I like that. So another question I have, it's kind of I'm gonna do two in one. What is
Okay.
A, your dream role, and B, would you ever want to come to Moulin Rouge on Broadway? Would Broadway ever be in the books for you? Like, would you be like, they asked you want to come to Broadway, would you be like, sure?
Well, if they ask, it would be rude, really, not to go. You're invited. I would love to. I would love to go do it on Broadway. I think it would be so fun. I think it would be really any role. I would love, honestly, the chance to go back and cover Christian and the Duke again, to go back into Flat Nine, even if that were the case. But to go do a different version of the show. Also, so many of the touring cast is on Broadway now that it's like I get to see all my friends again.
It's a pipeline. We call it the Tour Broadway pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. So I get to go see everybody again. So that'd be very fun. I would love to do that. My dream role, I'm still very young for, but I would really love to do, because it was the first show I ever did. And while I wasn't this part, but I wanted to be this part, is I really want to do Harold Hill and the Music Man. It's one of those things that I've known about forever. It's one of the very few musicals that I knew about as a kid. And I just, someday it's going to happen. I don't care where it's at. It'll be some, theater in Lima, Ohio, and I will crush it.
We're gonna wait for that. So when that happens, we'll be there rooting you on.
Yeah.
Seeing the Music Man. Let me see.
What's your favorite Duke costume?
Oh,
there's one right answer. I'm kidding.
They're all so good.
They're all so good, and they all have pieces of each other. I mean, outside of the initial black outfit and the Boulevardier lavender, I'm really a big fan of, and it's a detail that doesn't really get noticed enough, is the Duke's apartment outfit, because it's actually blue. And a lot of people don't know this.
I thought it was black.
It is navy blue, the whole thing. And in the Duke's boots, there is actually blue paint within, on the outside of the boot. You can't tell. These are the details of this show are so deep and run so far.
The next time I go, I'm looking for that.
Look for it. You'll see it. Yeah. Now that you know, look at his pants. His pants are black, but the suit is blue, and the boots are black with blue on them. So there's some amazing stuff. But yeah, every time I wear it, anytime somebody sees it for the first time after they've like joined the company and been, through rehearsals and stuff, and they'll see me in costume, they'll be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know this was blue." The amount of times people are so shocked by it and surprised by it. But yeah.
I did not know. I really thought it was black. Now I gotta, when I go see it
the
again
more
next
you
month,
know.
The more you know. Now I gotta go look out for it next time I'm there. Oh, that's great. Yeah, the costumes in the show in general are just absolutely beautiful.
Phenomenal.
I love the little sheer shirt that the Duke
wears
with the little
shirt. Yeah.
Sparkly.
Yeah.
I mean, Satine.
Our Lautrec calls it my slutty shirt.
Oh, do you know what? Speaking of that, I'm so sorry. I got a question, and I thought it was just kind of funny in the way the person worded it. Let me just find it real quick because I put up 2 question things. I have 2 of them.
Same.
So
Okay.
let's
I will say, and I'm gonna say this I'm not cutting you off right now as far as like stopping, but just so you guys know, we're gonna have half hour here at 6, so we got about 10 more minutes
Oh, that's
as far
fine.
as
Yeah,
question wise,
we're
just so you guys know.
we are nearly done. This is my
Awesome.
last one. So, okay,
But I
someone
do have the
put
10 minutes, so
someone said,
so don't feel like you have to be like rushing through. I will
all
try to
right,
keep
that's
my
it. Thank you,
answers
Andrew.
brief.
Anyway, bye.
And goodbye. Out the door you go.
Okay, someone put, do you miss doing Christian? Portraying the role, I mean. I just thought it was so
I
funny the way
love
like,
that
do you miss
one.
doing Christian? I'm like, and I love how they put portraying the role.
That's
Portraying the role.
hilarious. That is really, really funny. I do. I I sing it. I sing most of it backstage for the whole show, and it just keeps me warm. But I had such a great time, and like I said, that journey of like being terrified of it. Absolutely, I'm not going to even try for this show because I don't want to do it. To the point I kind of got to at the end where I was just like, oh, I can do this. I think I figured it out. I think I have it. I would love the chance to do it again. I think it would be so fun.
Yeah, I mean that's all my questions. Some of the fan questions are questions we already asked. I mean, Lily, do you have anything else to add?
I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's everything. Again, thank you so
Awesome.
much for
Of
doing
course,
this and
absolutely.
joining
Thank you
us.
all. It was a blast. It was fun talking about it.
Yeah, and supporting Dookie because he's the best character.
Team Duke.
We're
a Team Duke podcast now.
Listen, I will take it. Whatever Team Duke podcasts exist, I am on board with.
Well, we are here. Well, yeah, so thank you so much, and good luck with tonight's show and all the rest of you guys are in Florida for a few more weeks, I know, so
We are. We
enjoy the
have.
nice weather before you have to
I
go
will.
somewhere else.
We have lots of Disney and
You
Universal
guys are in
stuff
Orlando,
planned.
right?
We are in Orlando for
Okay.
one more week and then Fort Lauderdale. So,
Ooh, nice down there. So,
mhm.
all right, yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet both of
Of
you,
course.
and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time you are at the show.
Absolutely.
Come see the tour, Jules.
I'm okay. I will. I
We'll
will.
figure it out.
Look, I had COVID. I'm so sorry. I will. I will. I will
Excuses.
make it. It will happen. I'll let you know. I'll like DM. I'm like, guess who's coming to the tour?
Perfect.
Me.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good one.
You too.
He's so sweet.
That's so good. Success. That was great.
I love the Dukes.
Loved that. That was very sweet. Awesome. Well, that was Andrew Brewer, everybody. Towards Dukie Kabookie. That's exciting. We do love. I just love the insight he gave about the Duke. Like talk, and how everyone, you could ask all the fans on their opinion on what they think happens next or what they think about this character, and so it's so interesting to hear everybody's theories and to hear it from someone who plays a Duke every single night and has been doing this for 2 years. And these are some questions that we ask these people are going to be the questions that we ask a lot of people. Like there's a lot of people we're going to ask the same questions, like, what do you think happens next? Because we want to know.
We want to know.
We want to know.
We want to know.
We are curious because, maybe, we're going to write a sequel. That's why. Me and Lily are writing a sequel.
Moulin Rouge 2.
Moulin Rouge 2.0.
The sequel.
The sequel. But
Moulin Rouge, here we go again.
Here we go again. Yes, exactly. That's what it's going to be. But yeah, I love that. That just hearing that people give their different interpretations always makes me happy, and because there's so much that could be. There's so much open, and that's the thing, it leaves it open. There's so much that could happen. What does Christian do next? What does even Lautrec or even the ensemble members, what do they do next?
Because they all work at
the Rouge. So this is definitely a question that we're going to be asking a lot more guests that come on. Me and Lily have decided this is something that we're really interested in. We have a few questions that are going to be like keep going. But yeah. It was a great episode. So this
is a fun time.
What a fun episode, and We hope you guys enjoy it. I just really want to say real quick to everybody who does listen, we just want to thank you for listening to us. I know we're on episode number 8 and we've made it this far. Thank you so much, and we
Yes.
appreciate you guys more than anything.
You guys are the
And
best.
you guys are the best, and I can't wait to show. Like we have so much stuff planned and people and all this, and I'm
It's so
buzzing with
exciting.
excitement just to do future stuff with everybody. So yeah. Anyway, we wrap this bad boy up.
Heck yeah. Jules, you're going to London.
Jules is going to London. I'm
Ooh.
very excited. Very excited.
Seeing Rouge there.
Seeing Rouge in London. It's been a long time since I've been back in London, so I'm excited. And then I think I'll be back on Broadway in April.
And
You
I'll
know, gotta get
probably
my
be
fill.
back
I
in
gotta go
May,
see
so
Sweeney. I gotta go see Sweeney
yeah,
again before
before it
Tveit and
closes.
Sutton leaves. So I gotta go. I gotta go get my frill. I do love me some Sweeney. And obviously I guess I have to go see Broadway again. Oh no, I have to go see Moulin Rouge.
Like, while
Oh,
I'm there.
fine. I guess I'll go. You pulled my arm. But yeah, so thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.